Good morning. My name's Deacon Gary. I'm stationed at Our Lady of Fatima Church in Seacane, but the reason I was asked to give this talk is because I'm on the Philadelphia Archdiocesan team for Exorcism and Deliverance. At the present time, we have 2 exorcist priests in the Archdiocese, and we have another priest that assists, and then there is myself. I'm a permanent deacon, and we have a lady that's a layperson that has very wonderful gifts. She's a very prayerful lady, and she works very closely with me on discernment and interviewing. I'm here to talk about spiritual warfare and demonology a little bit. We won't get into too much of the logistics, and I'm certainly not here to give any scary stories or things, even though we're nearing Halloween, which is the high holy day of witches and warlocks and Satanists, even though people don't really believe in that much. The reason we're having so much problem in our world is people don't believe there is a devil or there are demons affecting our lives. And that's because the devil's greatest weapon against us is to convince us that he doesn't exist. And when he does that, we disarm ourselves, so there's nothing to worry about. Some people, when I do a baptism, and one of the prayers of baptism is about exorcism, and I'll look and see people rolling their eyes, and I guess they're thinking about picturing a little man in a red suit with a tail and a pitchfork and horns running around, some cartoon character. That's laughable, but it's not laughable. It's very, very dangerous, and it's very, very harmful. This ministry is not exciting. It's not enjoyable, but it's very, very necessary. I was called to this ministry because many years ago, members of my family, not my immediate family, but a lot of my family members were interested in occult things. Some of them were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. A lot of them were. And I had my family line traced back to the Druids in Wales. And when I had no interest whatsoever in things of the occult or the devil. I just shied away from those things. But I had some involvement through charismatic renewal. We had some teaching of demons and the devil. Some of them were very good teaching, some were, but I had a slight knowledge of them through charismatic renewal over the years. When I became ordained as a deacon, it wasn't long after that the Lord called me right into this ministry. It's not something anyone in their right mind would want to aspire to. As a matter of fact, one of the portals for demonic possession and infestation is a spirit called morbid curiosity. And when we open that door to morbid curiosity and have an interest in things of the dark side and things that are not from God, we can get ourselves in very deep, very quickly. Opening a door to the occult or for a demon is very easy. It's like opening a door to an unwanted visitor in our home, but closing that door and getting that visitor to leave, that's another story. And sometimes it takes us months, sometimes it takes us years. We have a lady we're praying with right now for over 6 years. We've delivered many demons from her. The Lord has delivered many demons from her. Exorcism, I want to state this right now. Exorcism is a rite of the church that is given only to the bishops from apostolic succession. Christ gave that charge to his apostles by laying hands on them to apostolic succession. The bishops in turn give that permission for assignment to priests by laying hands on certain exorcist priests. All priests through holy orders, have an authority over the dark side and the demons, but not to the extent of solemn rite exorcism, when a person has a deep possession. These are only priests that have that authority and that faculty given to them through the bishop. It's very dangerous for lay people to try to cast demons out of a person. And we see things on television that makes it look simple and easy, but in effect, when a lay person lays a hand on a person that's possessed and tries to cast out a demon, that gives the demon legal authority. They are very legalistic, believe it or not. Demons are very legalistic. They have that right to attack that person, and a person can become possessed themselves by doing that. So it's something we don't want to toy with or play with. My main purpose for this talk isn't so much to, I certainly don't want to give any glory to Satan or any of the devils. We give all our glory to God. God is the creator. All the rest of us, demons, angels, humans, we're creatures. God is the creator, and God alone has the authority, the power, and the might, and to him alone we give the glory. Why does he allow these things? Why does he allow fallen angels that have become demons in our world to attack us? Because he has them on a leash, so to speak, and what they are doing is assisting in our salvation. And they, believe it or not, know that, but they can't help themselves. While they are causing us harm, they're strengthening us and drawing us closer to God. There's always a greater good. God will only allow these things to happen to us for a greater good. He'll never go against our free will. He will never, free will is the most important to him. All his creation has free will. Angels, humans, we all have free will, and God honors that, and he will never go against it until the very end. Until the very end, when we leave this world. But even when we leave this world, I should say, we do continue in free will, that he never takes free will from us. There are certain things that people are not aware of that get them into serious trouble. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. We know what fallen angels are, we know what devils are, we know what demons are, but how do they affect us? How can we get affected by a demon? Well, in the first place, every single person in this world gets tempted by demons. They're tempting us constantly and telling us to do things that we shouldn't do, to commit sins that we shouldn't commit, to steal and harm, and to turn our anger towards others and malice towards others. But most of the time we resist these things. They're just things that we don't, we're good people, and we don't want to bring any harm or sin against God. So we resist them. But if we give in to them, if we start to give in little by little, we open the door a little more. And the opening a door is called a portal. And there are certain portals that open wide for serious problems. And the portals that open wide for serious problems are going to fortune tellers, having our fortunes read, which is an abomination before God. A demon cannot see the future. Contrary to popular belief, mediums, fortune tellers cannot see the future. They can tell people things that will happen to them next week, next month, and then they create that instance to happen. It makes it look like that they have foreseen the future. God only allows certain people, certain prophets, to see the future. That's something that he just doesn't hardly ever allow, and certainly never to a demon. So, but demons can read into our mind. They cannot read our mind, our thoughts. They cannot do that. But they can see everything that we are doing and every pattern that we have made that has been our life history. They can see into history in our life, and they can get a pretty clear picture of what faults that we have, what sins that we have, what things that they can use to bring us down. And they'll use whatever means they can to bring us down and break us, because their sole job is to destroy humanity. They know that where that they are condemned, they've already been judged, they've judged themselves, and they know what their future is like. So they want to destroy humanity. The reason they fell, the reason the angels fell, was because of the incarnation. They were told of the incarnation. God wanted to become part of his humanity, of our humanity. He wanted to become one with us. And that was too much for many of them. They just could not get over that. They didn't want to be, they thought that they were elevated to a higher stature than we are, and why would God want to be a part of our creation? So Scripture tells us about a third of the angels fell. And we know that's an awful lot of angels. We don't know how many angels there are. There's a lot of things we don't know about the spiritual world. We will someday when we leave this world, but we don't know everything about it. Nobody can say they know everything. But we do know a lot. And how do we know this? We know it from Scripture. We know it from the writings of the saints, and we know it from people that have had altercations with angels, and we know it's passed down through reliable people in our church for the past 2,000 years or more. So that's how we get our knowledge. And as exorcists, and I'm not an exorcist, but as a deacon, I have holy orders, and as part of a team, I've been to many meetings with exorcists from all over the country, some all over the world, and exorcists share knowledge of things that work the best to relieve people of the suffering and that they are receiving. And believe me, the suffering is terrible. It's terrible. When a demon takes possession of a person, first of all, full possession is very, very rare. Full possession. I've never seen that. I've been doing this full-time, almost full-time, for about 12 years. I've never seen full possession. I don't know anybody that has, that I know of. But to be fully possessed, a person has to fully cooperate and desire, make a pact with the devil and desire him to come in and do more and more and more. Well, first of all, when we give in to temptation, we can become infested. And infested is the first stage after temptation. Infestation is heavy temptations. Demons speaking in our ear, constantly jabbering, telling us to do things and pestering us in ways that are pretty severe. If we give in to them and we resist the sacraments, we resist God in any way, and just start to turn and open ourselves, because they do promise people good things. They come into our world telling people they're friendly and they're helpful in ways, and they'll do things for people, assist them in getting better jobs and so on and so forth. People start to fall for that, and when we do, the door opens farther and farther, and we become obsessed. An obsession is a type of possession, but it's on and off. The demon will actually take control of our bodily functions at times, our speech, they just traumatize people terribly, on and off. And we deal with many, many people that are obsessed, and it's a horrible thing. To me, I don't take any disease lightly, but to me, I don't see any disease in the whole world that is as traumatizing and as terrible to humanity as demonic possession. It's we see people, the things that it does to people are horrible. And it's very, very hard to get relief. That's what we try to do. Trying to steer people away from doing things that, reading occult things, reading things about gaining power from outside sources other than God, turning towards false religions, they make false promises, looking for psychic powers, looking for powers which we call New Age things that are outside the universe, connecting the power within us to the power without in the universe. And we know a lot of people fall for this. This is it's very popular. We've had people that have needed deliverance from getting involved with Reiki, Tai Chi, forms of yoga, and believe me, I could spend 2 hours talking about yoga and the dangers of yoga right now, but we don't have time for that. But we don't need yoga in our lives, and but I just don't have time for that. Visiting pagan shrines, going to mediums, seances where we try to make contact with the dead and dead relatives. The only ones that we'll make contact with are demons. And when we do, there's a price to be exacted, and we don't want that price. We don't want that to happen. So we want to be on our guard at all times. And some of the other things are, besides our willingly opening to things, some demons are passed down through generational family lines. Now that's a topic for a whole nother talk, the generational family lines and intergenerational healing. But the evidence of occult activity, demonic or oppressive spirit activity, some of the evidence from this comes from superstitions and involvement in activities such as witchcraft, astrology, spiritualism, divination, magic, channeling of spirits, meditation, New Age or non-Christian religions, opening oneself to powers of the spiritual realm, such as precognition or other psychic abilities. And then we have severe trauma that can be inflicted on a family member, any one of us, trauma that affects us at a point during our lives that is not healed and not dealt with. Some of these things are, someone in our family may have drowned, died, and they're in purgatory and are in need of healing, even though that's part of their purgatory process. But that fear of water can be passed down through the generations. And we don't realize that it's a demonic, it's a demon coming down through our lines. Making a blood covenant with Satan or involved in Satan worship. That doesn't happen too often, but it's often enough. And we're seeing the results of the horror in our world and our country today because of people that are doing these things. Or being involved with a witch or other persons involved in the occult. These are things that they're all problematic things. So my purpose is to just, if nothing else, to warn people away from these things and to try to stop the attacks before they start. Now, I understand we have some questions.
Okay, everyone, so we're here at Our Lady of Fatima Parish, and Deacon Gary has agreed to answer some of your questions about demonic possession and spiritual warfare. So I have some of our questions here from the Penn and Drexel students, and we're so excited to hear from you. Thank you so much for talking to us.
It's my pleasure.
So I guess my first question, you mentioned that full possession is very rare, but that there can be infestation or obsession in people. And what does that feel like if it's happening to you, or what does that look like? How can you observe signs of that in someone else?
Well, first of all, the devil wants to hide. Like I said this before, his greatest trick is to get us, to convince us that he doesn't exist. So he hides. He doesn't want to make his presence known because he wants to stay where he is. He doesn't want to be delivered. So it takes some work to get him to show himself. But he'll enter a person, and normally infestation, he will speak through the person and cajole the person and tempt the person. When it gets to a point of obsession, we have what we call manifestation, where people lose control of their body. And that's what he does. During the exorcism or deliverance process, he tries not to do that until we force him to do it. And he has no choice. And how we force him to do it is bombard him with God's truth. Truth is the weapon that we use in an exorcism. The devil cannot stand truth. Truth is very, very painful. And scripture and truth and invoking the Blessed Mother and the saints, the holy saints, they're just too painful for them. They can't stay around it. They live in darkness. They are complete liars. The only time a demon will ever tell the truth is when it's going to hurt somebody or affect somebody. And then they'll tell the truth about that to bring pain. But other than that, they don't want any parts of the truth. It's very painful for them. When we see a person manifesting, that's a dead giveaway. Their body, they get much more than human strength. They get very, very strong. Their eyes will turn colors or move back into their head, or they'll crawl on the floor, and they do all kinds of awful things. Body parts will do things that they shouldn't be doing. That's when they try to scare us away. And that's what, but it's a show. It's a show. God will not allow us to be hurt by these things. It's a show. They try to drive people away, and they try to harm people. We're not to fear demons. We want to fear God. We want to fear not having a relationship with our Lord and Savior, not with any demon that can do what we call parley tricks. They're very, very hard on the person that's going through them. But the person, to get to an obsession part, they have to keep opening doors and have to keep getting involved and inviting these demons. Full possession cannot happen without a person's complete willing it over. And a person has to cooperate with the devil to be fully possessed.
Right. And you mentioned these different kind of gateways to that, like with the occult, or seeing a psychic, or having your fortune told, or a medium, or a seance. Can it begin with something as simple as like reading your horoscope in the newspaper and putting a lot of stock in that? Like, is that kind of one of those gateway things? It
is, because God calls that an abomination. An abomination. Only He knows what the future lies. He doesn't want us to, or he has delegated through certain prophets to tell things that will happen for our good, but there has to be a good purpose to it. They will never tell that to a demon or a medium or a clairvoyant or whatever somebody wants to call themselves. They will not do that. That's one of the ways we open a door.
So I know you mentioned in your talk a little bit about yoga, and so for my yoga girls out there, I just want to inquire a little further. Is there yoga that's okay to do, or is there a way to participate in it that is not risky, or do you say just do Pilates and avoid the whole thing?
My advice, I'm sorry to say, is avoid the whole thing. Yoga comes from an Eastern religious philosophy, and the movements of yoga, body movements of yoga, are meant to duplicate the body forms of Hindu deities, which are evil spirits. And when we're doing these movements, we're actually calling forth these demons as guide spirits or helpers or whatever we want to call them. And we can get ourselves into danger. It's especially danger when somebody tries to tell us that we need a mantra while we're doing these things. I know people that tell me, oh, I practice yoga for years and it's helpful to me, and not everybody will get possessed or infected by doing this. But why take the chance? If we know something is not Christian and it's not helpful and it could be very harmful to us, why take the chance? Why not aerobic exercise or calling on the name of Jesus? Why take a chance with it? Yoga, Reiki, Tai Chi, other forms of what we could call energy transference. These things are not from God. They're not legitimate. They're from evil.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Now, I'm hoping you can talk a little bit about the difference between a disembodied spirit and like demonic activity. So you've spoken a lot about possession, but then there are also instances of, like, I guess what we would know as hauntings, or someone might feel that there's some sort of spiritual presence in their home. So I guess first, what is sort of the difference there? Are those actually ghosts? Do Catholics believe in ghosts? And then what is the appropriate response if you think that a presence like that is in a home or a building that you are?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. That's one of my favorite things. Yes, of course there are ghosts. But we don't like to admit it. I don't like to use the word ghost, disembodied spirits. There are two types of hauntings in a home. There's an evil spirit and a disembodied spirit. Disembodied spirits are spirits that need help. For whatever reason, God is allowing them to work some of their purgatory time out in this world. They might have had a traumatic death or a time that they left this world. Whatever it might have been, they need assistance. And they're looking for assistance from people but they feel can help them. Now, we have a great amount of these. I would say 30% of our cases are disembodied spirits in homes. And they are very, people get very frightened when things happen in their home. When things move around in the home, they'll make noises, they'll walk up steps, maybe walk through walls, but a disembodied spirit will not talk to a person. They won't speak to a person. They will not touch a person. They'll not cause any harm to a person outside of scaring the bejeebies out of them in their home. But they try to get your attention so that they can get help, so that you'll pray for them. And when we find a disembodied spirit is in the home and it's asking for help, first thing I do when I go in is to recite the prayer for the dead in the Liturgy of the Hours and pray that prayer. Sometimes that takes care of the situation right then. But if not, we'll get a priest and we'll come in and we say Mass in the home. And the whole company of heaven is present during Mass. And that person will be directed where to go and welcome through our prayers and the offering of the Mass. So, and it's a wonderful feeling to know that we are helping a soul that's left this world that needs our prayers and our help, and we're assisting in that. Now, evil spirits, when an evil spirit's in a home, they're in there for different reasons. It could be cursed, the home could be cursed, which is most of the time what it is. Or a person could be cursed in a home, or a person could be possessed in a home, and the manifestations are coming more from the person than the home. But they're something else. We have to bless the home. We do what we call an extreme home blessing with exorcised holy water and exorcised salt and blessed oil, and we have a regimen of prayer in every room to drive them out. Never, never, never use sage. Sage is an attractant to demons, and that's white witchcraft. By the way, there's no such thing as white witchcraft and black witchcraft. It's magic, and magic is magic, and magic is evil. Wicca is evil. There are no good witches and no bad witches. They're all bad. They're all perverse, and they're all from evil, and they're all being influenced by the evil one. So don't think Wicca or any of these things are are disguising as helpful, natural means of gaining pleasure in our lives are good for us. They're not. They're not. And there's a price to be exacted for these things when we get into them. Please do not get near or get involved with any of these practices. Any New Age. There's nothing new about New Age. It's all demonic. Believe me.
Yikes. So this just in, Glinda the Good Witch, not as good as we thought. But I guess if I was watching this and maybe I'm somebody who, like, yeah, I read my horoscope occasionally, or someone gave me a crystal that's now on my nightstand, or I have sage in my room, and I'm listening to your talk and thinking, uh-oh, I might be messing up. If you are somebody like that who might be watching, who has maybe dabbled in New Age things, or there's a presence of that in their life, what would your advice be if now they feel really fearful that maybe they have stepped into something they shouldn't?
Well, the first thing we need to do is clean our home and take everything in our home that's not respectful to God out of our home. Everything. And charms, amulets, statues, pictures, anything, books, anything that we feel that is New Age or is not Christian has to be removed from the home. These things can be cursed. They can be. I've seen things come out of things that don't belong in them. They actually come out of them. We don't want to take a chance. The home has to be cleared first. And then we should go to the sacraments. We need to go to the sacraments. We all need to go to the sacraments, whether or not we have this problem anyway. This is our safeguard. This is our life. This is what Jesus gave us to live our lives fully. So we need the sacraments. These are important things in our life. But going to confession and confessing any involvement that we've ever had with the occult or any of these things, sexual promiscuity. And I want to mention this too. This is very important. Some people laugh at this. They will not believe this. But this is we see this all the time. This is a huge problem. Anytime a man and a woman, married or unmarried to another person, come together in a sexual union, they form a spiritual bond, and that bond has to be broken. If a person is possessed, a person has sex with a possessed person, that person will get possessed, more than likely. If a person has any kind of things that could be passed down as evil, they'll be passed down. God made man and woman to come together and to become one body. And that was that's his will for people, for family, for husband and wife, man and woman, husband and wife. When we do that with other people, we also form a spiritual bond, and that bond has to be broken. So what I tell people is to pray about this. Anyone that they have had a sexual relationship with that is out of marriage, write down the names of the persons. Go into your room in a quiet place or wherever. Write down the names of these persons. Anybody you've made a vow to, a solemn vow to. Write down the names. Ask the Lord to break those vows. To break those vows in Jesus' name. We pray for the person. We never curse the person. We send a blessing to that person that we have had that encounter with, so that these things are dissolved and broken, and we're set free, and the other person is set free. We have to do these things before we gain freedom in our lives. It's so important. The world tells us that sex is a recreational thing, and that is so wrong. It hurts so many people in so many different ways, but the devil works heavily in this area. That's so important. I can't reiterate it strongly enough.
Yeah, wow. So you mentioned that you have seen like demons leave something, and even in your talk you spoke of the woman who you had worked with for several years and had several demons leave her. Like, when that actually takes place, what does it look like?
I've never seen a demon. God hasn't given me that charisma, and I am so thankful to him. But I see the results of them happening. I don't see them visually, but I see the results. When a demon leaves a person, sometimes most of the time a person will feel it. They'll either feel it in a part of their body and leave through the head or the mouth. Sometimes if a person ingests something that was cursed, they'll vomit it up, and the curse will come out with the ingested. Now it sounds like a fairy tale to a lot of people, but it's true. But a person knows when a demon's leaving them, because they can feel the demon leaving them through their body. Normally, though, there's more than one. There's normally more than one. It's more unusual for a person to have one demon than it is to be infested with groups. Because when we sin in patterns. And our lifestyles get into sinful patterns, and each demon has a different pattern of sin. As a matter of fact, demons have angelic names, but they never call themselves by their angelic name. They call themselves by the sin that permeates them and becomes who they are. And when an exorcist calls out a demon that tells them to name themselves, which they have to, an exorcist commands them in Jesus' name to name themselves. They won't give their angelic name. They'll give the name of lust or morbid curiosity or fornication or greed or envy or whatever. But they only will do that just when they're at the very weak state before they're exorcised. They want to hide. They fight to the end. They don't want to give up their name. They don't want to give up their identity. They want to hold on to that so they can stay where they are, because they'll never leave if they're not exorcised. They'll never leave. They don't want to go.
Wow. So it's October. Halloween is coming, which you mentioned, and I know there's people who watch scary movies all throughout October, or when we're not in a pandemic, who go to haunted houses or kind of participate in spooky things like that. And I love scary movies and going to like haunted hayrides and things like that. Is that kind of a no-go? Should we not be watching horror movies that deal with demons at all? Like, is that something we should totally avoid? Is it bad to go to a haunted house where some person is dressed up like a ghost or a demon? Where is the line for cautious Catholics when it comes to Halloween stuff?
Well, I don't want to say that there's a demon behind every tree and every bush. And anything that we do, any mistake that we make, innocently is going to get us attacked and possessed. That's not the case. Where I draw the line is thinking about things that are so bizarre that they are borderline dehumanizing. Like things that are, okay, we can be scared with a scary mask. That's okay, who doesn't do that? But But when we see movies with chainsaw massacres and shooting and things that are dehumanizing to people and make human suffering into something that seems pittance, then I would stay away from that. I would stay away from that. We want to come close to the Lord and His goodness. We want to become better, and the only way we become better is to get closer to the Lord. The whole point about all this, everything that we're saying here, and I'm not giving glory to these demons. They are childish. Most of them are childish. They're very intelligent, but they do childish things to lure us. God is the all-powerful one. We don't want to think that they have any power over us that we don't give to them, and they're not going to affect us unless we, desire to be affected. But the whole gist of this is relationship. As a matter of fact, I think the Bible shouldn't be called the Bible. The Bible should be called the Book of Relationship, and that's what it is. Who do we want a relationship with? Do we want a relationship with God, or do we want a relationship with the devil? And that's where it is. God created us as relational people. He created us. He desired us to be family, to be social people. Jesus didn't come into the world to be a social worker and tell us how to do nice things for each other. No, He came in to tell us how He set up order in the world, which is the kingdom of God. And if we desire to live in the boundaries that He's created us to live in, as social people, loving people, people of a family, God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit are family. They are a family, loving each other, and that's what He desires for us. And this is the way He set up His creation, to be family and to be social. And He wants relationship with us. That's why He came in and He was incarnate. By the Holy Spirit, came into our life, the relationship with us, because He wants us to have a relationship with Him. We can either do that, or we can turn our relationships to evil people or demons. And it's the choice is up to us. Unfortunately, God gave us free will, and He will never go against free will. And He's always, He's trying to draw us closer to Him. And it's our decision. We can come closer to Him, and through the sacraments that He gives us. All these things are life-giving. But this is the other side of the coin we're talking about. I don't even like to talk about this stuff. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I like to warn people away so that we never have another case. We are deluged with cases. We have more cases in this archdiocese than we can handle. It's getting to be epidemic proportions. And I feel so bad for these people. We do our best. But I would rather see people warned away so that we don't have to, do these things.
Yeah, well, we're so grateful that you are talking about it, because I think it permeates the culture right now, and there's a very casual attitude toward witchcraft and the occult, and it would be very easy to just kind of stumble into things that are doorways to actual evil. So we're so grateful that you're willing to kind of caution us. So in your talk, you mentioned that just a random lay person should not be laying hands on a possessed person or attempting an exorcism. So I guess first of all, how would we even know someone may have a minor infestation, or someone in our life but they may need the intervention of exorcism? What are some signs of that we could observe? And then is there anything a lay person can do, or is it just call the proper authorities?
Oh, no. We can pray for ourselves, and we pray for others. We're called to pray for each other. We're the family. We're the body of Christ. We're family. So that's really what we do. We pray for ourselves. We don't go running to find an exorcist right away. We want to pray and we want to help each other. But we do it in the right way. We don't. When I say laying hands on somebody and casting out a demon, that's where our pride enters in. And the devil knows that. That's what he wants to get us with. When we lay a hand on somebody, that gives him permission to join the fight. It would be if I took a swing at you, which I wouldn't think of doing, then you would have the perfect right to defend yourself. And demons are very legalistic, and they have that right to defend themselves, and they will. So we don't put our hands on people, and we don't go casting them out with no authority. We have no authority to do that, only through the church, the authority of the church. Exorcism and deliverance are sacramentals. They have a great authority behind them. They're very powerful sacramental because they have the authority of the church and the sacrament of holy orders behind them. But they're still only sacramentals. A sacrament, like reconciliation, gives us grace. We receive grace through the sacraments. We don't receive grace through a sacramental. A sacramental is something that we use to remind us who we are in relationship to God. And they're powerful. And the demons don't like sacramentals. They don't like them at all. And that's why we use them. But they're not magic bullets. They're not anything. They're powerful. The sacraments are where we get our deliverance and our grace from. If a person feels that there's something wrong, usually you can tell by a personality change, a severe personality change, on the beginning signs. Sometimes it's psychological. A lot of times it's psychological. A demon will go into any wound. They want to attack us at the lowest point in our life. Depression, physical wounds even, any kind of a wound that they can get a foothold in. They're going to try to get a foothold in because they're terrible. They're just hateful, worst kind of hateful. So when we feel compromised, and we feel that it could be demonic presence, what we want to do is go to the church. This is the steps that we take through our ministry. The person should go to their church and their pastor and talk to their pastor and go to confession and talk to their pastor. Tell the pastor they feel they have a problem and they feel it may be demonic. And the pastor will contact the chancery downtown. The chancery will send out an inquiry form, and it's about 9 pages. It's pretty complete inquiry form back to the person. The person will fill this out, give it back to the pastor, or send it back to the chancery. The chancellor and vice chancellor and the team will look at that and take a look at it and say, okay, this looks like a possible demonic activity. So they send it to us. And when they send it to our team, I get them, and the lady that works with me will get them. We need a woman and a man together also we can't deal one-on-one. We never go in a battle with a demon one-on-one, ever. That's not good. So we'll bring the person in call them up, bring them in for interview, either here in my office or in the chapel or someplace. We may do an interview 2 or 3 times, whatever it takes. And then we discern, is this person possibly demonically infested or worse, or could it be psychological? And it could be both. A lot of times it is both. The person will have a psychological problem, a mental problem, and the demon will get in there to make it worse. And it's very hard sometimes to separate the two. So the next step is I'll refer this back. We refer this back to the exorcist priest, who refers it to our psychiatrist. We have a team psychiatrist who will interview these people and make an evaluation, and then it comes back again. And this is all before we start our deliverance or exorcism.
Wow.
But for a solemn exorcism, every time an exorcism is considered solemn, where it's a very, very advanced possession, we have to go back to the archbishop. Even the exorcist priest goes back to the archbishop and gets his specific permission to do that solemn exorcism every time before we do it.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of deliverance. We do a lot of there's minor exorcism and there's solemn exorcism. But solemn exorcism requires the permission each time of the archbishop. We don't want to hurt anybody's psyche. We want to make sure the person is sound of mind and body and spirit. We don't want to do damage to a person. And praying deliverance over a person that doesn't have an evil spirit can be a trauma to a person. Mm-hmm. So we don't want any harm to come. And everything is very, very confidential. We don't talk about people's names or cases outside of our team. So everything's confidential. So anybody that you know of has a problem like that, go to the parish priest, ask the parish priest to contact the chancery, and then the wheels will go in motion. Now that's not saying that we don't see people outside of the process. Sometimes we have to.
Mm-hmm. Right, because if I had a friend who is not Catholic at all and doesn't think any of this matters or is real, and I see that they're really immersed in some of these harmful things and I'm concerned about them, like, is really all I can do just pray for them and give them my opinion on it? Or is that kind of the best way forward?
I hate to say that, but it is. Anybody that doesn't have access to the sacraments is very well compromised. It's very hard for us to deal with because exorcism is, we use the sacraments to provide the grace through the process. If a person isn't baptized into the faith or unbaptized, and they don't have any access to sacraments, it's very hard. And we have so many cases. We have to take the ones that we can have the best percentage of helping at any particular time. It's hard to say, and I don't like to say this at all because it sounds hurtful and condescending, but it's not. We're compassionate people. We want to help everybody because this is heartbreaking stuff when you see people going through this stuff. But even Jesus said that a woman that came to Jesus and asked for healing, and he said, and he said, I've come for the people of Israel first. I've come from the people first, and because they were living the law and they understood the law, he brought his healing and he brought his deliverance to them first. Not that they discluded everybody else, but he had so many people after him, like we do, at certain times, that he has to deal with the best cases at the best time. In other words, Jesus triaged like we have to triage.
Yeah. Okay, I just have two more questions. So one is, I've been in situations where, like, I went away for the weekend for New Year's Eve with my friends and someone brought a Ouija board and I was like, uh-oh. Or I stayed at an Airbnb one time and, like, there was like a bundle of sage on the dresser and there were odd pieces of artwork or things that kind of gave me the willies. But in both of those situations, I wasn't saging my room at the Airbnb and I wasn't, no one used the Ouija board. But when when our antenna go up and we see that we're somewhere where those sorts of objects are present, should I just be like calling an Uber and getting out of there? Or, what is it, can I just say a prayer and sleep peacefully because I know I'm not engaging with it and I participate in the sacraments? Like, what is the appropriate response when you have proximity to these things?
Yeah, if you're not engaging with them, you're not if you're living a moral Christian life, we don't have any problems. We can be harassed, but that's the best the demon can do. But if we just don't engage with them, we don't ever want to engage with the demon. I don't even want to engage with the demon. I don't want to talk to them unless I have to. And I don't want anything to do with them. I look at them as, lowly enemies, which they are. But yeah, you're safe. You're safe. We don't have to run away from things. Spiritual warfare is like any other kind of warfare. Ephesians 6 tells us, that we're fighting against, the things that we're fighting against in this world through our whole life is not flesh and blood. It's against principalities and powers, which are angels, fallen angels, demons. Spiritual warfare is like any other kind of warfare. We need a defense, but we also need an offense. If we stay on defense, well, we can get whacked around, attacked around, but we have an offense, and that offense is the sacraments and the rosary. The rosary is very powerful, and intercessions of the saints and our prayer life, and we come against them. We need an offense against them. We don't allow them to just have their way with us. So we can't be fearful of them. We can't. Jesus tells us fear is useless. Fear is useless. Trust in God is the way we're supposed to live. Even in this time of this pandemic and this stuff that's going on and insanity that's going on in our country, we don't want to live in this fear. We have to trust in God and hope that, He'll get us through. He's the one that's going to get us through. So being in a bad place doesn't necessarily mean, hey, I'm in bad places all the time. I go into places that are, make my head spin around. But I've never been attacked, and I can't be attacked unless I desire to be attacked, or I open myself up. I could get possibly, maybe physically hurt. That's never even happened to me. I know some of the saints, Padre Pio, John Vianney, Teresa of Avila, St. Anthony in the Desert, they've had, but God's given them a special grace. He's given them a special grace. He gives us enough grace to deal with the situation that we're in without being harmed. No demon no person can sell their soul to a devil. We can willfully turn over our soul and our desires and damn ourselves. Our soul is protected by God. A demon cannot get into our soul. Demons can get into our parts of our body. They can get into affect our memory. This is how they do things. This is how they affect us with these thoughts and put thoughts in our head and try to convince us things. But they can't. They won't go into our intellect. They can get into our intellect, but they don't do that because truth lies in the intellect, and they don't want to go near truth. They're afraid of truth. So they'll leave intellect alone for the most part of the time because our intellect affects our will also. And our will, as long as our will is centered on God's will, we're fine. So we don't have to, I don't want anybody to be afraid of demons. I want us to keep away from them. Keep away. Defend ourselves against them. I know the enemy that we're up against and defend ourselves. But the weapons that we have against this enemy are much, much more powerful than the enemy. There are sacraments. These are life-giving sacraments. Yeah. And God is the creator. All these things are only creatures. Yeah. And at the end, they know what their end is. So they're trying to take us with them. But we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah. Well, you kind of anticipated my last question because it was just going to be like, should we be afraid? Because in October and with Halloween, that's like the theme of everything is fear, and that we should be afraid of ghosts. We should be afraid of horror movies. And I think fear can be such an paralyzing thing. But it sounds like any power that these demonic spirits have was given to them by God, and that He ultimately is our shield and the one who desires our good and is infinitely more powerful. So it sounds like there's not much to fear if we stay fixed on Him.
Not at all. Not at all. If we stay grounded in our faith, grounded in the sacraments, the rosary, relationship with Jesus is the most important thing. They're not going to give up. they're not going to give up, but they're very, very limited to what they can do. So let's not give them any glory or power. They're not worth it. Some of them are very, very childish. Some of them are, more powerful. But we invoke the more powerful ones by doing the worst things, like getting into these rituals and trying to get power in our lives and asking for things in our life that we wouldn't ask God for.
Right.
We ask God for whatever we need, and He'll give us what we need through the graces. He gives us more than we need. Why do we need to ask a devil or a demon?
Yeah.
Because He's going to exact a price that we'll never want to pay, much more than what we pay.
Yeah. Well, we are so grateful for your time. It has been really fascinating to talk to you, and hopefully when things are normal again, you can come back to our Newman Center, because I know that was a big hit last time, but we're so thankful.
Yeah, I enjoyed being there. Good people.
Yeah,
God bless you
they
all.
still talk about you. So, all right, so this has been another exciting Newman interview, and we're so thankful to Deacon Gary, and we'll be praying for your work and for all the people that you encounter, and please keep our community in your prayers too.
Thank you, sure will.